They also show how children sing. They have a choir in the school where many children sing songs, and without any musical accompaniment. I mean, without any music. And they also, from time to time, show how children sing their songs. And also, it was shown on this cable television studio when it was the 1st of September. And in Russia, we celebrate the Day of Knowledge at this day. And they also made a documentary on this celebration, and parents sitting at home that day at night, at the evening, could watch their children on TV, and it was also VHS camera. It was made with VHS camera made, and it's very unusual when you're at home, you watch your TV, and you can see your children, your own children, sitting in the class, and among other children. I think that it's quite normal, and I think that parents live some kind of excitement when they become more and more proud of their children.
If you've just joined us on this January the 2nd, where prices were decontrolled in Moscow, our guest is Vitaly Shamov, who's a resident of Moscow. He's been in this country since Saturday afternoon, his first visit to the United States. He's 29 years old. He has a mother and father that live in Moscow. His father is a manager of a plant that makes men's suits, and he has a sister. Any other relatives that live around Moscow? Uncles, brothers, sisters?
Yes, I have 4 sisters, 4 cousin sisters, and my 2 uncles live also in Moscow.
Now, if you were home right now,
yes,
what would you have done in preparation for a day like today when the prices are going to go way up? Would you have stood in line last week to buy bread and sausage and things like that, or how would you eat?
No, I wouldn't stand in line at all, because for me, it gives me nothing to stand in line, and when in most of the cases, I don't usually spend much time standing in line. I cannot afford this, and if I had job now this day, if I were in Moscow now, of course I was just at this time I had to be at my workplace, and I cannot afford to stand in line during the daytime, and but in the evening also I have a little chance to buy anything at the shops, because or whether it may be closed, or it could be nothing at all there.
How do you eat then?
The most popular eat, my popular eat is sandwiches, and I make sandwiches at home, or just if I buy some sausage or some meat, I buy it for a long time, for a long period of time, for the future, not to go. I mean, during the weekdays, I don't have to go to stand in line to there.
Now you don't have a job right now, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You've got freedom, it appears, in Moscow, and no job. What are you going to do for the rest of your life?
Of course, I'm very interested in working on television, but I still don't know what's going to happen to me in the forthcoming year. And of course, I have to learn much on this issue, and for me it will be like the second period of education, because when I was studying at my institute in Moscow, we didn't have so much practice in studios and making own programs on television. We didn't have an access to make it, and now I will try using my time here in Washington and C-SPAN studios. I would try to study what do people do here, and to study how it goes, what does it take to make good programs, what does it take to be a man involved in television business.
We have some more videotape, and we'll show this videotape just a little bit of what they call a call-in show at the Ekron cable television system and the channel in your complex. And then we'll take a couple of telephone calls. Steve Effros, who is the president of the Community Antenna Television Association and who taught the regulation of television to some Soviet citizens a couple of weeks ago, will be with us in about 25 minutes. And then we have TV Informed coming up in about an hour and 10 minutes from now, the evening newscast, as recorded here every day at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, when it appears at 9 o'clock in the evening over in the Soviet Union, or there I go again, in Russia. And then Nicholas Palugin will join us later on at 6:30. If you're watching this program live, 6:30 East Coast time, Nicholas Palugin, a correspondent American based in Moscow, who has helped us a lot in our relationships with the Russian citizens, and also Vitaly Shamov worked for him for a while in Moscow. And all this is coming up as we it's not commemorate, but we talk about a very important day in Moscow. Let's look at this videotape, and we'll get Vitaly to tell us what it is.
Добрый вечер, дорогие телезрители. В эфире очередной выпуск программы «Клуб интересных встреч». В эфире независимое телевидение Южного округа. Как мы вам обещали неоднократно, что у нас сегодня в гостях депутат Верховного Совета, народный депутат СССР и народный депутат Российской Федерации Галина Васильевна Старовойтова. Мы несколько раз сделали анонс. Галина Васильевна нам обещала один раз на митинг.
Vitaly, the gentleman looks like the same gentleman that's the deputy on the Moscow City Council?
Exactly. He is a deputy and he is a host of the program. And the guest, as we can see, this lady is Galina Starovoytova. She is a People's Deputy of Russia, and she was invited by this gentleman, by this deputy, to this live calling show. And after she answers her questions, she has a possibility to answer telephone calls.
Now the difference, though,
like
is that they call in and then they write it down on a piece of paper. They don't hear the actual voice, do they?
Yes, you are right. They don't hear actual voice, and a special.
What's that say right there?
This is a studio telephone number, 393-0515.
So if you lived in your apartment, you could call them and ask her a question.
Without any doubt, sure.
I remember when we were there that someone said that this woman might someday run against Boris Yeltsin.
It was at that moment when you were visiting our country, and I think that the situation has changed now. She doesn't want to run against Yeltsin now because he's a lie. But she's a very outstanding lady, because during hard times, during perestroika, when conservatives were were in power, at that time she already had progressive minds, feelings about the future of Russia. She was a supporter of fast reforms and drastic changes in the Soviet Union, former Soviet Union.
This is videotape from Ekron Cable TV, which is a channel of some 500,000 people hooked into this studio in the basement of a 17-story apartment house on the outskirts of Moscow. If you were to get on a bus and ride from downtown Moscow at Red Square to your apartment out there, how long would it take you to get there? How many minutes?
I won't be able to do this because I don't have a direct bus which goes from my district to the center of Moscow. But if I take subway, if I go there by metro, it will take me 30 minutes to go there. And if I leave home, and at the moment when I come to the Red Square, it will take me 30 minutes to get to the Red Square.
Do you own a car?
No, I don't.
Have you ever owned a car?
Unfortunately not.
If you had to buy a car today, how much would it cost you?
It's very ridiculous and at the same time terrible price. A new car would cost me from 150,000 rubles to 950,000 rubles.
So it would cost you a lot more than your apartment did.
Sure.
Canton, Ohio, go ahead, please.
Hi, I'd like to say welcome, Vitaly, to the USA.
Thank you.
From the CIS, I guess, is that what it is now?
Sure.
I'd like to know how the Russian et al. People feel about Gorbachev. We like him in the U.S. and think he's done an awful lot for your people. How do you feel and the general population feel about Gorbachev?
Thanks.
So we do also love Gorbachev. I think that there is no man on earth who couldn't love Gorbachev. But as for us, as for people who live in former Soviet Union and Russia, of course, he was the first one to reveal what system, how previous regime was fragile and how deep the crisis was, and he was the first one to launch changes in our country, and he agreed publicly and he acknowledged it also publicly that we are in the deepest crisis and that this country, former Soviet Union, desperately needs changes. And that's his the most important step in his role being a president, and since 1985.
Did you vote for Boris Yeltsin when he ran for president?
Yes, I vote.
Did you ever have any question on whether or not you were going to vote for him? Was it easy to vote for him?
Yes, it was without any difficulties. I can go to the polls and to sign my vote for Yeltsin and put it in the special box.
Did you ever think about voting for someone else besides Boris Yeltsin, any of the other candidates running? Or were you always a fan, or were you always supportive of Boris Yeltsin? In other words, you ever think about voting for somebody else?
No, I didn't ever. I have never thought of someone else because I didn't think about what you're asking me about, but nevertheless, I wouldn't vote for somebody else except Yeltsin. One interesting thing that I have never been a voter until last year, because last year on the 12th of June it was election day, and as election day was a little bit earlier. At the 12th of June Russia became independent, and until that day I have never been a voter. I have never voted for anybody at all.
Grand Rapids, Michigan, go ahead please.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
I was wondering if you saw in the future, I'm a local cable caster with a public access cable station in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I was wondering if you saw in the future where there might be opportunities for people in Russia and the Eastern Bloc countries to possibly exchange programming and information between public access stations here and possibly your stations over there.
When the only thing I can tell you, it would be very great if we could exchange programs. It would be very useful, and it would be even essential for our people to get to know what's happening in other countries, and in our case in the United States. And if I have chance to take some programs from here to my local cable television studio, I would do it with a big interest, and I also will be very interested if such kind of changes could exist. But we already have some Western top 20, some Western movies which are shown on Moscow program TV channel, and from early morning to 6 p.m. They show